Behind the southern charm lies razor-blade smiles and hearts of darkness.
Monsters we are.
You know the rest of that sentiment and the reasoning behind it.
The truest lie ever sung.
It is not in seeking monstrousness that we stave off the monsters of our hearts and thoughts.
We are monsters dead, and truly so.
Yet our monstrousness is solely in seeking to live.
Seeking to be that most human of animals.
Monsters we are.
Monsters we are.
The better to embrace the truth of our dead humanity.
The Coast After Dark is a mature-themed Discord play by Post Server based in and exploring the V5 world of darkness in and around the Mississippi Gulf Coast region.
It has a small local population with over 14 million tourists that visit annually.
Roughly an hour's time is all that is needed to travel from end to end.
The geography and size of the region has created a unique power structure that is formally known as the Council of Twilight.
It is sometimes called the Pentarchy.
Sometimes affectionate.
Sometimes oozing with disdain.
Come explore and safely experience the darker parts of the sun-kissed landscape
and your imaginations.
Back safe and sound, back to where nobody loves you, nobody cares, and nobody is interested in what might be going through your mind.
Where is he?
So, decisions. There's always a coin flip. And while everyone understands that the coin is either going to be heads or tails, there is the slimmest percentile chance that the coin will land on its edge. Deciding a thing is not doing a thing until it's done. And as Vanessa eases the car to a crawl, contemplating the ensemble selections of those who have clearly spent far more than they had been entitled to through their efforts and had saved through their efforts, and were in this night, on this moment, having prepared to spend well above their means to visit the Queen, or commiserating having spent well above their means to visit the Queen. The contractor's vehicle, the van, parked near the building. Her paranoia, foisting and fostering all sorts of conspiracies. Does Vanessa interact with the van, or does Vanessa choose in this moment where her paranoia and her experiences, firsthand, secondhand, gossip and rumor conflate, choose to escape the area? She is, for all intents and purposes, in fact, having kidnapped Sasha into this. She, for all intents and purposes, in saving them from the vehicles bearing down on them, divorced them of their agency. She, in this moment of paranoid focusing, of attempting to understand whether the world was truly out to get her, has only now, in this easing down of the velocity of her vehicle, realized that her passenger is not in fact there willingly. She, in this moment, only now realizes do or not do, one or the other.
Well, earlier, two non-marked dark vehicles came onto her and Sasha. And yeah, that's freaky. She doesn't want to stay and find out if those were, hunters or the things that she's heard about, thin bloods, basically collecting it, picking people up, kidnapping them off the streets. she might, at this point, she might be thinking this is second verse, same as the first, just more fancily dressed in a different color. So she might actually drive away, but not like flooring it, just going to drive away and oh man. Let's see. Yeah, she's gonna drive away. She's gonna see if she can drive. Oh man, oh man. This is terrible. She's gonna drive it somewhere to where, like, she can park the car in a hidden location. Like, you know, hidden location, all that stuff. And then just, and then that threw off my train of thought. Okay, now I remember. But park the car somewhere, like, hidden. And take herself and Sasha. And poor Sasha. Just try to run off and hide. Try to she wants to sneak. Oh, she wants to sneak in and hope that they kind of give up on this search and she'll just go back to her haven until things pass. But yeah, at the moment, she's just gonna park the car somewhere hidden and then take herself and Sasha away to hide and hope that they give up on the search.
Okay, sounds like a plan. So as Vanessa heads off into the night, leaving the hole in the ground to its own devices, seeking what every living entity seeks: safety, security, privacy, and agency over their own existences. We shift our gaze to war, destruction, terror, and mayhem carried out writ large in a manner that none but those involved might ever understand. As Oliver hangs on to their immortality by the skin of their teeth, literally in this case, a fraction of a few inches, changing the fact that his skull still has its integrity in place. Haas, the vehicle shattering around him, his skill at destruction, a thing to behold, if any could actually behold it. The sound of nothing, deafeningly loud. The absence of contact, a thing that very few living individuals have come close to ever experiencing. A sensory deprivation chamber is effectively what this is. All of the normal hundreds of minute details and sensory input that the living and the dead absorb from every situation being considerably less. The car feels weightless because there's nothing to feel. He knows the truck has shattered around him. He can intuit that much. trucks are not structurally designed to be used as cudgels. Yet, the lack of sound, the lack of touch, the lack of sight, and most importantly, the lack of the familiar stench of this truck. This truck has ferried the dead across the coast countless hundreds of times. This truck is so laden with the residue stench of kerosene as to be its standard perfume. Most people have those little annoying, intelligence sapping pine trees hanging from their rear view mirrors. The pine tree in this truck, because of all the kerosene and Molotov bottles and implements to initiate fire, if you left that pine tree in any semblance of direct sunlight, would immediately spark and begin to burn. The countless shotgun shells, the casings of bullets, the sharp implements for beheading and dismembering, scattering into the nothingness. He knows it, he intuits it, but there's no sensory information to prove it.
Damn.
So it's funny you mentioned fire.
Oh.
I'm a big fan of, like you mentioned a lot of stuff, like Occam's razor and Murphy's law and what have you. I'm a big fan of Chekhov's gun. And you mentioned fuel tanks.
We're sitting in the middle of a
Swing!
Sunday night church communion's parking lot right now. Fucking Girl Scouts with their cookies staring at us.
I thought we were teleported.
It's okay, there's apparently a fucking party going on, a hole in the ground, so...
And while Haas has decided the only way forward, even though forward doesn't exist, is through the weight and efforts of destruction by any and every means. What has Oliver decided? It is not a feeling that most of us understand or can even put our finger on. Nothing is impossible. Yet here you are in the nothing.
There's not a way that I could, batten down the hatches and attempt to resist this effect now that it's fallen upon me, is there?
Well, as per your old existence, as per your old trap, as per your old pact, and the many ploys that you've all used, the absence of everything, not completely unheard of.
Okay. If that's the case, I would like to put some concerted effort into fighting my way out of this void that I've been thrown into.
Excellent. So two things are happening, and the multiplicity of things that are all happening at once. Haas, you are in fact at the 4-3 because there's not much in your hand or before you actually left standing. There's one catalyst involved here that's keeping this going, and they're running out of patience. They're at the end of their rope, as it were. There's not much else for them to do or continue. And Oliver, as per a randomly, chaotically selected extended effort to escape this moment, to be so kind as to go ahead and roll your dexterity plus athletics. And while that roll is happening, Haas, would you be so kind as to roll your strength plus melee and roll very high.
Do I need to rouse strength again?
Strength?
Yeah, do it.
Sure,
I'm
why
asking
not?
if I need to do it again.
Sure, why not? It's always fun. The beast doesn't do anything but provide goodness to the world.
Hunger 5, guys.
Welcome. It's nice to have you.
Alright, this is -3. This is going to be fun and lovely.
This isn't going to be pretty.
But thankfully, we only have 4 hunger dice on this. Fuck you.
Why? You.
God damn it.
Oh. Thank the Lord.
Fuck you.
I mean,
what?
that's terrible. That these two completely different dice rolls that are not involved whatsoever have come out with the results that they have. You know, that's horrid, horrible. Oh God.
Well, I intend to go further blow shit up. Here's hoping that worked.
There's no way to read that. There's no way to see that fate doing what fate does. Much like God, when man plans, fate laughs. It finds it so ludicrously enjoyable that oftentimes fate will conspire with you against yourself. I would like to say that this is not such an instance for Haas, but I also don't like to lie. In the fracas of nothing, in the scrum for it all, the melee to end all melees, Haas, in his efforts, because when in doubt, swing first, swing hard, and make sure that you keep swinging until there's nothing to swing at. And unfortunately for Haas, there is a ton of nothing to swing at. Luckily for Haas, he's already dead, so his stamina is not a real factor. It doesn't have to ever end. It is Ragnarok happenings not only cyclically, but constantly. Haas has always been known as the engine of destruction by those who know what he is when unleashed. When given provocation and cause, Haas rises to the occasion with the only thing that has never failed him: violence for violence's sake. Oliver, having shared experiences, has a different perspective on things. Fight, escape to fight, and continue fighting in the ways that are most profitable to your cause. And so, as the never-ending immortal darkness explodes into nothingness, he shouldn't be able to see it, having so quickly and brusquely been given the opportunity of sight and sound. Yet, in his years of being the predator of predators, in his moments of giving chase and hunt to things that were older, stronger, richer, better financed, better dressed, but considerably less determined than he and Haas, being aware of his environment, had done nothing but been a benefit. And as the sky above his head turns the bright yellow, red, orange of combustible air, the fumes from the gas pumps, the fuel from the truck's fuel line, the once in a lifetime chance of surviving an explosion. Through that fear that is triggered, through that respect for what fire can do, he catches sight of a surprisingly well-dressed Asian woman escaping from the full brunt of the blast of what Haas managed in the absence of everything. Her red body-hugging jumpsuit and huge purple hat catching his attention. She looks very much like either an actual or a former circus performer, someone who rides the trail with one caravan or another, one family carnival or circus or another. But as she's escaping and the sudden overwhelming brightness of this gas station going nuclear above his head causes Oliver to do what? And by the way, Haas, yes, you need to dodge with a dexterity athletics unless of course you're going to stay at roughly ground zero +1 of this unleashed, untamed, uncontrolled explosion that you've managed to trigger through sheer luck of aim, through sheer practice intention of knowing that the truck was damaged based on how I swung. It should have landed here, and managing to puncture the gas tank and gas line at just the right angle to cause all of those compacted fumes which has started to escape to ignite.
Do I still get the -3 penalty?
No, you can see. You're almost blinded by the sudden appearance of light.
You can see, but it's all bright.
Well,
So-
let's see. Dice roll 5, hunger 5. Let's go.
Can I? I mean, you rolled pretty damn good.
I finally roll good.
Can I see Haas's location?
Yeah, ground zero.
Oh.
I don't think dodging's gonna help, boss.
I'm just gonna kind of like from my location, just seeing Haas fucking playing with a nuclear warhead and seeing this lady run off into the distance, just kind of shout over, Haas, we ain't got no time for that. We got this DC wannabe about to get killing joke. Get your ass in the gig. And I'm gonna start heading off after the fucking Harlequin.
Excellent. At the far edge of this explosion, where you are, would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your dexterity and athletics, and please, for your sake, roll high.
At the far edge of the explosion, there's a little mini chunks of Haas.
You make me sad. Alright. You know what? You're right. We all do need to be at hunger 5 by the end of this. Let's go. Let's fucking go. Oh. That's unfortunate. I don't know how I feel about that. But we're here now.
Oh my.
God damn.
Let's fucking go!
This man is literally fucking backflipping over logs and shit. On those circus routes, boys.
All right.
You're the one.
Just like that time we played Donkey Kong.
There's no way. And again, we have been here so often just in the course of the few hours of this night leading into midnight, where the impossibility has become the very real, tangible, factual, actual possible and present. There's no way that someone as large, as girthy, as bulky as Haas, the engine of destruction that he is, should be so spry and light on his feet to literally outrun hell. The explosion over his head, rocketing towards him with every intent of immolating him down to the very marrow of his bones, should not be something anyone as large as him could escape. And while he does not escape unscathed, his successes have netted him a -4 to the total aggravated damage heading his way. And there was no additional tacked on because it is in fact an absolute tie. So at ground zero, Haas manages to kick it into gear and very action movie like be propelled forward by the backblast of the explosive force, netting those, my friend, too aggravated as the entirety of his back is flayed in heat and scarred dead tissue. The clothing he was wearing being burned into the muscles of his undead ambulatory corpse. Oliver, not being at ground zero, however, was considerably far more blessed by the hand of fate, cartwheeling, dodging, ducking, rolling, and to not gild the lily too much, hauling unabated, unabashed, bare naked ass as far and fast as he possibly can.
Yeah. There's very much that sense of, oh fucking god, Haas, what are you doing? Never mind. This is a Tuesday. Get the fuck out of here!
Yeah, just booking it.
It's like you left your child alone with a fork and a light outlet, and you came home and wondered why your house is on fire. It's like, wait, no, never mind. This is just him.
What's going through Haas's mind right now is, man, I need to go steal another truck now.
What's going through Haas's mind right now is bits of his charred fucking skull.
That too.
Brain function diminishing. What do you mean diminishing? We never had any.
Just enough to be a destructive engine. There's no way, under any other circumstance, under any other moment, that one, Haas nor Oliver would have survived. That two, Haas would have been lucky enough and crazy enough to initiate an explosion in spitting distance of a gas station, let alone at ground zero. Yet all of those things have been proven untrue, as his still ambulatory corpse attests. And speaking of a test, usually one that most people fail. Everyone fails tests occasionally, but this one specifically. In the battle of seeing tomorrow over sacrificing today, Elias has been the one singular force of good of the entirety of his clan. He has done more to initiate goodwill for his clan than any other representative thus far. So the cold, chilled, surprisingly refreshing vitae coursing through him, while cold is still very much a comfort. The problem with being in torpor is feeling everything, seeing everything, hearing everything, and not being able to parse exactly what that means, exactly what that is. The kindred don't dream. Kindred don't sleep. Torpor and being staked is as close as they ever come to that hallowed state of sleep, where the unconscious mind solves the issues of the day, where there is a automatic moment of pause and respite from all of the troubles that one experiences over the course of their existence. The kindred don't get that. The kindred get an everlasting, forever night. And as painful as that in fact was to experience on a very much emotional level, it is as close to a night's sleep as he has gotten since his death. The nonsensical images that bombard the mind and the problems that are worked out in dream don't happen. Instead, he knows as the sounds and sights and impressions of the world around him. And the code vitae that was provided, he's not sure from where or from whom, is laughably enjoyable. During his living days, he wasn't really much for Italian ices, or as they say, a sippy cup or icy cup or freeze pop. But on the hottest days, they came in handy, and that's what this cold, lifelessly dead blood feels like. And he's almost thankful for it, almost, until the pain of the stake being removed leaves him fully cognizantly aware. The room he's in is well appointed. There's a brazier of incense burning somewhere close at hand, unless of course he chooses to look around and find it at the back corner of the room. It's just ambience. The many pillowed chair about him, left and right, and a small round standing table between each of the chairs, whereupon directly across from where he's sitting there is a kettle and several small cups of tea. He can smell and scent that the tea is fresh. It's an Asian variety because there are no bergamots in it, which were initially used as preservatives for tea. He's not sure where he picked that little detail up from, but there it is. Doesn't smell any bergamots. You smell something more herbaceous than the standard fare. Scarlett Johansson, the Persian version that did him the damage, is dressed in a loose-fitting robe, one leg crossed over the other, her pants clearly apparent as she does so. Sitting to her left is an older gentleman. He's wearing glasses, blue kufi, and a bright blue suit with a matching tie, crystally bright white shirt. He's not adorned with any jewelry, watches, or anything else, and on his feet are a pair of clearly hand-woven leather closed-toed sandals. And he hears someone clear their voice just over his left shoulders.
Noble?
Mm-hmm.
Was he going to speak up, or is he just staring at me?
Literally just that. The relatively uncomfortable silence is clearly comfortable for him. There's no fidgeting or intent to intimidate by making eye contact. He's simply sitting, holding the small cup of tea.
For further clarification, for Elias's state of mind, how in control is he?
Barely.
Alright. I think Elias would sit up in whatever chair he is in. He'd try and assemble his clothes as well, but his hands are trembling. Any sort of composure he might usually have is not as consistent as of now. Both from the strange circumstance and from the constant hunger that's gnawing at his brain, it's hard to keep track, but he tries his best nonetheless. I see from the strange invitation I'm still alive. Well, suppose you have a conversation you want to have. It's a strange invitation, but us beggars can't be choosers. To what do I owe the pleasure?
Are you familiar with the principle of the mouse and the lion?
I was not much of a learned person in school, but I think I've heard a fable once or twice.
Quite right. And that is the reason for your presence here. You are, as far as we have been able to keep track of, a member of our esteemed associates, the Keepers. Your distant relations, your understanding of the darkness, and finding your version of the light is the reason for your presence here. You have effectively removed the thorn more than once from several lions. And while it has taken no small amount of effort on our part to find you, we believe that your efforts continued, though they might be very, very beneficial to not just us particularly, but to the entirety of the kindred who call the coast their home. We are in sore need of, as they say locally, good Christian soldiers. I must apologize first and foremost for my associates' inability to bring you here without undue harm. But here is a place that many have provided for fellowship, and they must be safe here in this sanctuary against the world, their world and ours. So while we would like to and had intended to offer you recompense for your effort going forward, steps had to be taken to ensure you could not find this place on your own.
I see. Well, I suppose that explains the sudden invitation. I understand certain things like this require a little bit of finesse. I thank you.
Oh, don't thank me. The pleasure is in fact all mine that you are understanding. Habiba is a great counterintelligence officer. Sometimes her past causes her to engage the enemy with the same manner that she engages her friends, secrecy being necessary. We came into awareness that there would be an attack on the coast as a whole, that nothing would be the same after this attack. We unfortunately did not learn of this attack until after it had already been accepted by various parties across the coast. We warned the Pentarchic Prince, and, well, I can't, as right as I believe that I might be, find a reason that instead of taking steps to increase his security, he instead sent out the entirety of his teams to find individuals that had been, well, partaking in the division between the Hecata. We, of course, mentioned those that we thought might be of assistance, but he insisted on utilizing those who have become swept up into and caught up in with the division amongst the Hecata. And for all of his apparent foolishness, he has been right thus far. We would have liked to take an insurance policy, which is the reason why you are here.
So, am I to take this as some sort of fellowship, collaboration, servitude?
Employment. There is a need for those with skills, and unfortunately one cannot, as much as I would enjoy and much as I would like, trust those who have no incentive to move forward in the manner that most is beneficial. We respect honesty. We like things simple. We are worshipful in our own way. And because of that, and because of your previous actions, we would like to ensure your financial caretaking at our behest, and on our dime, as they say, to engender a coast-wide network who would report to you to help us protect those who will remain.
I can't help but be flattered for such a lowly kindred such as I to be considered for such a post.
You assisted the number 2 most powerful Toreador's child, begat illegally, and you didn't profit by it, by throwing them out with the bathwater. You assisted whichever kindred was responsible for the zombie bath salt scare, and you did not profit by it. You did not cause, nor suffer from, nor engage in the chaos that happened during the blackout. You were not seen near, nor associating in and around the area where the entirety of the sewer system was destroyed. It is clear that you have been privy to information that could have assured your meteoric rise through the ranks, and instead you closed your doors and remained unto yourself. That is not an easy feat, especially knowing some of what your blood might be. You didn't scrabble for power. You didn't betray any of the trust that had been granted to you. And nor did you utilize anything except for what was already in presence. We could use on our dime individuals like yourself.
Well, you put it like that. I would be completely lying if I said that there was no personal benefit to some of my actions, but I thank you for your generosity. And I would hope that I will not betray your trust going forward.
As do we. You have seen what Habiba does when she finds herself intrigued. It is far, far worse if she finds herself incensed. For your delivery home, and to apologize for the destruction of the vehicle, Habiba will see to it that you arrive where you need to arrive. And though this time we could, of course, and he motions towards the stake sitting, resting in the corner of Habiba's chair, just out of sight. We'd prefer to perhaps simply blindfold you this time.
I think that'd be a much preferable form of transportation.
Excellent. And just so that I will not be assuming anything, you are accepting the employment.
I do. I think we both have a lot to benefit from one another. And I believe that perhaps the coast and the kindred of our like will also benefit.
Excellent. One question. And that's a small one in the grand scheme of what we have decided is necessary and hope to carry out. You have not partaken of any of the juice shops, have you?
The what? Me actually out of character. The what?
The juice shops, those who buy and sell blood and often use donors.
Oh, right. Sorry. No, I've not.
Excellent. We would like to keep it that way. There are troubling things we have heard, and more troubling things that we assume. And we know that in the light of the attempt soon to fall or already falling upon the Pentarchic Prince, they will only get worse. It is sad that we have not been able to interdict or intercept them elsewise, even with the turmoil amongst the Hakata, to find out who actually is the actual blood czar for the circulatory system of the coast, so that we might apply the necessary pressures to them. But all things being equal, Habiba, and with that he stands, sits the now cooling tea down onto the table between the two chairs, and she smirks. And it is clear that she's hoping that you maybe renege or give her an opportunity to actually have a stand-up tete-a-tete between you two.
I'll also try and stay as calmly in his chair as possible.
Crossing the distance, she slips a already prepared eye mask, a sleep mask to be exact. One of the weighted ones that block out the entirety of the light to give you nothing but darkness. And you hear his voice. We will be in contact. We have several ideas as to how to reach you. We will arrange others in the next few days. I'm looking forward to what you might assist us with.
I look forward to the collaboration. Before I go, might I ask what I can call you? I understand if you don't want to give an actual name, but it'd be nice to know who to call my employer at the very least.
I thought that my reputation had preceded me. I'm called the Sufi.
As I kind of like freeze up in the chair, still with the blindfold on. Well, alrighty then. It was a pleasure to meet you, sir. Kind of like give a bow.
And he eases from the room. As he reaches the door, it's only then that the decently long-haired individual standing over your left shoulders makes themselves visible. As he walks past you, his attire is unmistakable. He's dressed in these sumptuous robes that clearly go back to when clothing was automatically tailored because it was made specifically for your body. His silent footfalls, not nearly as unnerving as the pall of darkness that was cast upon you in your vehicle. While you know that the magisters and the keepers are masters of that otherness, of the world beyond the world, the end of all things that live, being in the presence of it being used by someone else is a little unnerving. It's a little bothersome. It's like having that one magic trick that you've mastered and you've shown everyone in the family, no one can figure it out, and then your college roommate is able to do it the exact same. Exactly the same.
Downright and silent.
And speaking of exactly the same, violence begets violence. It's the natural understanding. One thing leads to the next. You slap someone, they punch you. You punch someone, they kick you. You kick someone, and before they get a chance to put you into an arm bar or arm lock, you shoot them. There's a natural progression of violence. It's just determined to happen. So as your fingers, which are not producing the responses that they should, you should know, you should feel, instead of just intuit, that you've latched on to something, someone. You should be able to hear their screams, because there's no way that where your hands are positioned that they're not in something or someone, something. Yet there's no screams. There's no stench of blood. There's none of the normal sensory information you should be receiving in this moment, Javal.
Well, following in the theme of the Legion of Tens coming on Hunger Dice, I am going to try to literally taste this guy by biting whatever it is I got a hold of.
There we go. Excellent. Roll your strength and athletics. No, I'm sorry, strength and brawl. I said athletics. Why am I stuck on athletics? I like athletics tonight.
Well, I've done a lot of athletics rolls recently. So
Your defense, you've been calling for athletics for quite a few people here.
Yeah, okay, so... Oh, and I'm rousing for this. So that would be 7. For now is still at 2. We'll see if it gets adjusted in a bit. And then don't put anything for difficulty, I imagine, right?
As high as you possibly can. If there's a way for you to instruct Incanu to roll higher, you should probably do that now.
Okay, so got all that in. And re-rolling. Oh, whoops! I clicked on the wrong thing because you rolled in. Re-roll failures. 5 successes. And I'm gonna roll my rouse now.
Excellent. In the battle of wills, it is typically in those situations the one who's prepared to lose everything that comes out on top. It's typically the one who's willing to move in faith that comes out on top, because nothing else matters save that success. Someone who has already envisioned it and tasted it and is living in the success of whatever comes typically is the victor. In this case, in this battle of wills, it's not the person who wanted it most. It was the person who feared losing that connection, feared losing that touch of the other that comes from communing with one's belief, that comes out on top. The understanding as to how small mankind and kindred kind, and the balance and need of that connection with the spiritual to keep you grounded, to keep you understanding and appreciative of what the next moment might be, drives a savagery that, if Cheval's being honest, is quite warming. And in the doing, would you be so kind as to roll 1/3 your humanity plus your unspent willpower?
Okay.
You can put the DC, but I don't think it'll really make that much of a difference. Your DC is 3.
My DC is 3?
Yes.
Even with Clanbane?
That's the reason why your DC is 3.
Ah. This is what frenzy check?
It is. The smell alone for most.
Fail.
Yeah. There are rumors upon this, upon promises, upon word of mouth, upon comic books from certain kindred who shouldn't be making comic books about it, but did anyway, about how monstrous and addicted the children of Hakim were when it came to kindred vitae. Though the truth of the matter is, the rumors and the gossip had nothing to do with kindred vitae. They were blood-crazed fiends. They were wild things coming up out of the desert to send a swath of non-white aggression across the world. If not for the Camarilla and the Ashira beating them back to their mountains, they would have drowned the world in their evil, their reprehensible natures. Or so the gossip and scuttlebutt goes. They were a threat to the west, the north, the east, and everything European. These tan sand dwellers, appearing like sandstorms, swallowing every ounce and inch of the world. And Cheval had always written those off. That's clanist rhetoric. That's idiocy. That's stupidity. No kindred would risk everything, would risk their internal immortal soul for the taste of blood. And she was half right. Most would not. And not for blood, but her people. The vitae in her being, welled up in every fabric of what she is. The hint and taste of kindred vitae. The overwhelming power in each drop drunk down floods her system. It leeches away first her reasoning, then her faith, then the idea that she was separate from the vitae, coating her tongue, sliding down her throat, filling her with a divine radiance she has never felt before. The idea of stopping, the idea of easing away, the idea of resisting this allure and this power is unimaginable in the moment. Lost to the taste, lost to the power, lost to the safety and sanctity of this vitae, Cheval realizes the difference between drinking pure kindred vitae versus the vitae of Ezekiel, who had been watered down, who had been diluted, who had been feeding on animals and bagged blood and making sure that the blood that he imbibed was laced with sedatives and downers and things to help him repress the call of the beast. Oh, this, however, is the pure, is the uncut, is the undiluted. It's not some belonging to someone or something who's doing everything they could to repress their beast, actually, emotionally, and chemically. This is the vitae of a kindred who enjoys being kindred, fully living in their truth of their existence. And there can be no substitution. And speaking of substitutions, things that replace others, something stepping in and obscuring other facets. Emerald, you're no longer alone in the dark. Emerald, you're no longer ostracized from the world, held in oblivion, dancing in shadow. Crouched though you are, preparing for the absolute worst, you can again feel the concrete beneath your feet. You can again feel the gentle breeze of the coast, humid winter night. You can again see the street lights several yards past, comfortable. You can again see the difference between the dark, the deeper dark, and where you are. And you can, for the first time, see what it's like for a kindred to attempt to drain another. Because there before you, less than 6 feet away, Sephardi has another kindred, bent as if they are caught in a tango. And she's the lead dancer, that she's the male, and they are the feminine partner. No. It is somehow the most intimate thing that you have witnessed ever. Because even as Cheval's muscles strain through the fabric barely clothing her in this moment, and even as the other kindred clearly was attempting to fight her off, their arms bent at such an odd angle, resting on her shoulders, attempting to push her away, instead they're resting there, holding her to them as she empties them of themselves. It is literally as if she stuck a straw into the center of their soul and began sipping with the intent of not finishing and not taking a breath until she sees the bottom of the glass.
So Emerald's gonna think about that vision for a second, think about the bird that was calling them to follow, and looking at the kindred, he's kind of wondering if that was the bird, and if the bird is currently being devoured by snake? Some sort of feral animal. And then think back to, briefly thinking back to what had happened earlier, he's going to try and he's going to go try to distract Cheval by using Cloud Memory to break her concentration on feeding.
Bonus points for creativity. Go give it a shot.
Alright. Roll again.
Give me a quick second, I'll open up the book because I thought you'd have it.
I have it. I digging it up quickly. Memory, what's. So, hang on, so it's,
Charisma and Dominate.
Charisma and Dominate. Nice. Where should you go? And I'll rouse for good measure. Messy Chris!
Just the way we like him.
Oof.
Oh man.
Boy.
Fate calls her cousin, sister, Kismet to watch the happenings here just off Lorraine, here on the former community college's campus. Fate and Kismet sitting, munching popcorn, engaging in ludicrously appalling behavior for those who go to the theater, but pretty decent behavior for those who go to the movies. They began raucously laughing at Amaryl's plan of non-interference, of keeping their hands clean. In most situations, having a break stick is the only way to pry one kindred off another. Stick the stick in their mouth so they can't bite you and pull back as hard as you can, slightly twisting so their jaws have to open, so they don't tear the flesh of the kindred or the mortal they're feeding on. Amaryl does the same thing mentally. Unfortunately, Amaryl's beast refuses to ever feel alone again. Amaryl's beast refuses to ever face that fear again. Amaryl's beast goes out of their way to ensure and instill that, at least for the next portion of time, they will never be alone. Not truly. Cheval, what would Cheval do to protect a friend? A true friend. Someone who they've known for years. Would they fight their beast for that person?
Yes.
What is Cheval's unspent willpower?
No. 3.
It's 2. And one of the wound levels taken is in fact aggravated. Because Cheval would fight their beast tooth and claw to the very last. For their lifelong best friend, Amaryl, who's standing before them. The one person outside of Iqbal who's always been there for them. The one person whose voice is the only calming effect when the monster in Cheval's chest raises to the fore. Amaryl. It's been so long since she's seen them in person. They've talked forever. They've shared their hopes, their dreams, the ideas that are bound for being as they are. Emerald, the one consistent in the Cheval's life outside of the trauma of living and existing where she has. And he's finally here.
Cheval, stop!
I take a moment to lick the wound closed.
That was a mighty kind thing to do for a kindred you were feeding on. Your very humanistic nature is beginning to show through. And Night Society does not enjoy that. Does not enjoy that at all.
What can I see about the kindred I can now actually see?
Besides them attempting to master themselves, because you can't effectively escape if you don't have your faculties, and the beast doesn't have faculties.
Mm-hmm.
Can I use cloud memory to do a mental reset on them too?
You didn't do a mental reset. Your beast stole their memories. Your beast did the unthinkable. Your beast possessed you in the worst way possible, and you are seeing the effects of what happens when you effectively and actually mind rape someone.
Oh boy.
I believe I take the aggravated damage because now I have been reprogrammed to think of Amaral as a lifelong friend.
You take the aggravated damage because you and his beast conspired against your own best interest as far as your beast is concerned, and you stopped a frenzy, literally the impossible.
That's right.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
For whom?
And
Yes.
so I don't so how far back is the memory wipe?
What memory wipe? It's you and Cheval, Cheval, and Amaral against the world in this particular case. You came here and these two strange women, of course, are there, and the darkness happened, and out of the darkness, after fighting off all of that, there's Amaral.
So I just don't remember. So the only thing wiped is the bleeding, or wait.
Yes, there's supposed to be a fugue. There's supposed to be a disconnect. There's supposed to be understanding that Amaral is the only thing you can count on. Everything else happened except for there was no cause for you to break, except for you greet Amaral, your lifelong best friend. There's missing portions. There's things that don't seem to quite add up, but they do add up because, well, they do add up, but they don't.
Mm-hmm. Okay, got it. All right. So I am just like, Amaral's rescued me. Then that's the only thing that makes sense at the moment. Got it. Okay.
What can Amaral see regarding the other kindred?
that they almost experienced their second death. Amaral isn't plugged enough nor status enough to understand who they just kept from and who they fought off. Because that's literally what it was. They fought off someone who was, well, acting in their own personal best interests. Standing over the fallen, the defeated, with Cheval. In light of their premonitions, two things are clear. That person no longer matters. You removed whatever they were attempting to do from being a factor in what happens tomorrow. They are attempting to gather their faculties to escape because the beast won't allow you to escape unless, of course, that is in your best interest. And right now, not attempting to risk their own beast, they need to compose themselves. Otherwise, they are non-factor. What is a factor is, as we take a step back from Amaral, Javal, here at the former community college campus, this person, this kindred at their feet, may have assisted the darkness that hit them, but she wasn't the cause. They weren't the cause. They may have been assisting, but the actual person, the actual source, the actual retainer that had come to collect is no longer present. Not sure how they know that, but 1 plus 1, while being 2, but 1 and 1 could be 2 or 11. As we pull back as Javal and Amaral try to source and suss out what they know of this present moment with the facts that are sitting there before them, and take a look as Elias is escorted to a Toyota, simple 4-door Corolla. The blindfold finally removed, and a cell phone, a standard, very dumb phone, slipped into his hands. She smiles. Hey, Habibi, no hard feelings. Maybe next time we'll go for an actual role, see what you can know. You handled yourself very good, my friend. And Haas and Oliver give chase to the very petite, small Asian woman as she rounds a corner and disappears as they break the corner themselves. No longer willing to fall for the secrets of shadow and silence, the hunt is actually on. They have every intention of catching her and flaying her. They have every intention of pulling every secret she might know from her. And in a similar mindset of remaining safe and secure, the same very feeling that the Asian woman is trying to attain, Vanessa finds herself parking the car roughly 3 blocks from her haven as she escorts Sasha, who is slowly coming back to themselves, to her haven. The promise of what happens at and after midnight still hanging over everyone's head, as everyone considers the events that have gotten them to this point, giving chase, trying to solve the mystery and trying to find safety, trying to make it home, or at least close enough where you can be assured that no one is in the back seat, no one's attempting to smack you with your own vehicle, and no one's attempting to kidnap you from where you are to take you to wherever they wanted you to be. And as that's percolating just outside of easy reach for each of the kindred, we, the viewers, take another step back and watch as Baron Basilio and her fleet of vehicles arrives at Prince Christopher's abode, unannounced, carrying an urn filled with ashes delivered as message. That message being enacted simultaneously as Prince Melina's entourage of vehicles arrives at Prince Christopher's compound, unannounced. As Baroness Basilio's silent partner, Miss Beaufort, Prince Beaufort, if you're being respectful, steps out of her vehicle in lockstep with Baroness Basilio, in lockstep with Princess Melina. While inside, standing just inside the foyer, Lucas looks back toward Prince Christopher standing on the steps in prepared readiness for his guests, who are arriving unannounced, unpresaged, and no one should have been aware that they were coming, yet somehow he was. The look between Luke and Prince Christopher clear. Are you sure about this? Why didn't we run? Why didn't we leave? And Prince Christopher, looking at a small pocket watch, he sent agents to bring Kindred to him. Of all the many futures that he foresaw and planned on, he did not plan on his agents being unsuccessful in bringing the Kindred he needed to speak with 15 minutes ago. He was unprepared for the Kindred he sought to assist in stemming off what is to happen. He did not foresee that the natural reticence and paranoia of other Kindred facing overwhelming force would inspire in them a ferocity and bravery enough to stop from being delivered to a meeting where they could make all the difference in the world. And as Luke opens the door to allow the 3 Prince-level Kindred inside Prince Christopher's abode, he knows, unlike most others, that for all of the ability to see the possibilities, no one can account for what actually happens. And while surprised that for the first time in several hundred years Prince Christopher is wrong, he is not, in fact, disappointed. Good night, everybody. Thank you for playing.
Ooh.
Dude!
Crazy.
Oh, damn.
Wow, what a mic drop! Dang!